How you guys all doing today? Doing good? How's the beer? Is it all right?
Great.
Awesome, thanks. So yeah, on behalf of Attic Brewing Company, welcome to our special investor information night. My name is Todd. This is Laura, my wife. We are the owners of Attic Brewing Company. And what we want to do is just give you guys a little more information about us, of course, the brewery, what we want to do with the brewery, and how you can invest through this sort of WeFunder thing that we've found. So we're going to open up with a video that we've partnered with the PWP Video here in Germantown. They created this 3-minute video for us for this whole WeFunder campaign. You guys might have already seen it, but if you haven't yet, sit back, enjoy, and we'll go from there. So just a little background on us. We started to kind of get involved with brewing way back in 2010. When it was my 30th birthday, Laura bought me a homebrew kit. We had sort of had this passion of craft beer for a while, and it's kind of a cool thing to get a homebrew kit for your birthday, and then you can start creating all these different kinds of beer. And originally, we are not actually from Philadelphia. I grew up in Colorado, Laura from Chicago, Illinois. What's going to bring us to Philadelphia is, I guess you could say, history and the National Park Service. I wanted to become a National Park Service ranger as a big history buff, and the history that's here in Philadelphia I think is incredible, and that's what's going to draw me here. And I'm going to start working over at Valley Forge National Historical Park, and that's where I met Laura, who was working as an intern there with the Student Conservation Association. And things clicked, worked out, and it's at Valley Forge where we are going to get introduced to craft beer. We knew park rangers there that will kind of tell us about all these really cool different craft beer styles and things that really got us into it. So we got into the craft beer scene, moved to Germantown, really liked Germantown a lot. And 2010 started brewing our own beer and kind of went from there. Now, what we really enjoyed about Germantown is the history that's here. And of course, as you guys I'm sure are very familiar, there's a whole lot of history here just in Germantown itself. Way back in the 1700, or even before that, 17th century, is when Germantown was established. You're going to have the first movement toward the abolition of slavery in Germantown, all the Revolutionary War connections, the Underground Railroad connections. So the history here is awesome, which I think helps drive to the art and music scene in Germantown, the architecture. And I think what really impresses us the most about Germantown is the community. Something awesome about the community of Germantown. And we just like the community, the way, how diverse it is, how passionate they are about the whole neighborhood. And we feel that all Germantown needs is just a spark to make this an incredible neighborhood. And that's sort of where we came up with the idea of having a brewery here in Germantown. We knew that there wasn't really anything around Germantown. There was not a really good spot to go hang out, just have a few drinks, hang out with friends, bring the community together. And we thought Germantown would be a good location for our brewery. So so you guys probably already know, we picked a spot down by the Wayne Junction train stop on Berkeley Street, 137 Berkeley Street. From here, it's just down Germantown Avenue, maybe another 1.5 to 2 miles. And we looked at all kinds of different places in Germantown, but we felt this might be the better location because the industrial space that was there. We have more space to bring in brewing equipment and so forth, and hopefully that will allow us to have a bigger tap room and so forth. Now, if you guys have been down to Berkeley Street, you might have seen the buildings that are down there. This is part of where our brewery is going to be. This building, basement floor is where our brewery is going to be. The second, third floor is going to probably be turned into office space. But you guys see how those sort of bonded windows are all blocked up. Those are going to be opened up, and that is where you're going to be able to look into the brewery and see all our fermentation tanks and so forth. They'll be all lit up. And then the rest of the space will be behind that building. I know it's kind of hard to see, it's the lights coming in at an awkward angle, but you guys see that garage door on the right? That's going to be kind of the entrance into a vestibule. If you go off to the left in that vestibule, that's going to enter our brewery. If you go off to the right, that's going to be Deke's Barbecue. And interior space, we're going to have about 6,000 square feet. We're hoping to have our tap room to be around maybe 3,000 feet. So that'll be plenty of space to bring in at least 100 or so people to come together, drink our beer. And this gives you kind of an idea where that tap room is going to be. You can see these kind of cool windows. We're going to try to keep as much of this historical architecture as possible because we're into the history, want to keep that sort of vibe going. And one of those windows, the one that's kind of in the middle, is going to be converted into a garage door. So we can open up the garage door. That'll allow us to bring in all our ingredients for the brewery, take out spank grains to the garage door. But when the tap room's open, that's also going to leave up some outdoor sort of space. And we're hoping to kind of open up just around the corner some outdoor space for the brewery as well. And this is kind of looking at the space from a different angle. Doesn't look like much. Got that ha-ha thing. Joker was here, I guess, I don't know. But over on the left corner is where our brew house is going to be. We're hoping to get a 10-barrel system, put it in that corner. The tap room is going to be right in front of the brew house. Behind the brew house will be our offices and our grain mill and so forth storage. And it's hard to see, but over here to the left, there's an opening. There are these two giant industrial doors that we're hoping to keep there because they're pretty cool looking. And that's going to lead into the basement space of that other building where the sort of cellaring area will be. That's where we'll keep our fermentation tanks, our bright tanks, serving tanks, which will kind of keep out of give us more space in the tap room, but also since it is kind of the basement, it'll be a good spot just for all that cellaring space. And this is probably the most recent plan we've had drawn up so far. So the basement space is over on the left, tap room and brewery over on the right. And it's hard to read the little lettering in there, but it gives you guys kind of an idea of what the space is going to look like. So we are hoping this is going to be a pretty cool thing. I'll leave it over to Laura.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello. So you can see the space that we have now. It's an empty warehouse, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And right now we're anticipating opening between January and March. So there's a lot of things that have to happen between now and then. So this timeline gives you a little bit of an outline of some important things that we're working on right now and milestones along the way. So the first thing, if we look towards June of 2018, right now we are finalizing our brewing equipment. We want to purchase American-made brewing equipment. We're also applying for our licensing and zoning permits. So as soon as those are completed, around July, we're going to begin construction on the building. We are working with the Wayne Junction redevelopment project. So there's 8 buildings that are under construction at the same time. And while this is a big project, we're working with Philly Office Retail that's developed a lot of buildings. And it's also great for us because when we open, we'll already have the other businesses around us, including Deke's Barbecue, the Wayne Junction Diner, another restaurant, some cooperative working space, etc. If we jump forward to October, we are going to hire a head brewer, a full-time brewer for our brewery. Both Todd and I do the brewing, so any of the beers that you've sampled today or have sampled before were brewed by Todd and I. We both really enjoy brewing, but we want to hire someone who's full-time and wants brewing to be their career. Come November, we're hoping to have our licensing approved. At this point, December, the equipment will be delivered. If our licensing is approved, we can start brewing test batches of beer and be ready to open in January. And that right now is really our target opening date. We say between January and March in case there's any hiccups. But if there are hiccups in other places, if we are able to have our licensing approval, we can sell our beer. So if we have our equipment installed already, we can be brewing beer and selling it, even if it's not through our tap room, or we can contract brew with another brewery and sell our beer that way. Come January, jumping ahead. Come January, we're expecting everything to be installed and to really be focusing on building out our tap room. February is when we are doing our inspections, hiring the rest of our team, doing those test brews, and then really ensuring that we open by March of next year. So So this time next year, we'll all be in our tap room, enjoying a beer with the garage door open. So the next slides that we're going to go through are some information that we did not originally have published on our WeFunder, but as we talk more with investors, I think it's important to kind of talk about sales projections, especially with the possibility of your investment. So these are our sales projections for the first 5 years. WeFunder investors are paid through a revenue share. 10% of all of our revenues get distributed back to the investors. So on the graph here, we can see year one, if we open in March, we're projecting sales of $545,000. So 10% of that would be $54,500 being distributed to our WeFunder investors. And then you can see our growth over the first 5 years. In total, we have the potential to pay out $402,000 to our WeFunder investors. Now, the payout for the WeFunders is determined on 2 things. Number one is the amount of investors that we get, and number 2 is the amount of revenue. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but this gives you an idea of what our sales projections are. And you can click to the next slide. So things that we kept in mind when we were creating our projections. Number one, our focus is to sell our beer directly to customers through our tap room. I worked as a sales rep for Dock Street Brewery, and I know how competitive it is with 6,600 breweries to sell your packaged beer to a retail store or to try to get your keg on at a craft beer bar. We also have the highest profits when we sell directly to customers. It allows us to be in control of our brand. And if you talk to anybody who lives around this upper Northwest, they're always talking about wanting a place to go. So it's really important for us to create this space, have this large tap room, and sell most of our beer directly to customers. We're planning on being open 7 days a week from our opening, and you can see the hours there. So they're pretty typical brewery tap room hours. We're not legally allowed to have bar hours and stay open until 2 a.m. But this amount of time will allow us to maximize on peak times, but we can be flexible seasonally with those hours. We're planning on doing a lot of weekly live entertainment and events. Again, with the population around here wanting someplace to go, we want to keep it fresh and have things for people to do. So we want to partner with musicians and have live music, maybe host quiz on nights or show movies. Todd is a metal fan, so maybe Metal Mondays. Not sure if anyone else would be into that. But it's another way for us to attract people to our tap room and have a big enough space for people to enjoy the entertainment, have some beers, invite their friends, etc. So our projections are to have customer traffic between 700 and 1,500 customers per week. And what we've averaged is a $10 per person. So any of you who have ever gone out for drinks have probably spent more than $10. So it's a little bit of a low projection, but we're trying to be cautious with our sales projections. The industry average right now is 2.5 beers per person, so we did it based on 2 beers per person and an average price of $5. Our beer will be priced between $4 and $8, just based on what the cost of goods are. If you drink any of the high alcohol beers or really hoppy beers, those tend to be a little bit more expensive, but things like the cream ale or the brown ale could easily be priced at $4. We're also able to serve any Pennsylvania-produced cider, wine, and spirits, which is another way for us to be able to bring in more revenue and also attract more customers or people who don't like to drink beer yet. They'll be able to come out as well. And then we also have the potential to increase sales through off-premise events. So things like Parks on Tap, First Fridays, or the Philly night markets. There's lots of events that happen, especially during the warmer season, where we can set up, sell our beer. And then with your Pennsylvania brewery license, you're also allowed to have up to 5 satellite locations. So this offers us the opportunity to be able to open other tap rooms that don't require us to build out more brewing equipment. We can brew the beer from the same primary location and just have more places to sell more beer. And with the WeFunder, you get a 10% of the revenue of everything we make as a company. So if we open more locations, it just means we get paid back faster. So when we talk about operations, we're looking to start with 11 employees, 4 full-time employees, 7 part-time employees. We're building a 10-barrel brew house, and our first year we're projecting to do 700 barrels. And then we brew a variety of beers. So I know I see a lot of faces that we've seen before who have sampled our beer. We brew so many different styles, from lagered beers to Belgian triples, imperial stouts, the Goza, tons of different styles of beer. And we want to continue doing that. And it's great through our tap room because we can get that immediate feedback from our customers about what they want or a style that's popular, brew it and serve it as fresh as possible right to the customers. Community impact. So for us, we never looked anywhere but Germantown to open our brewery. This neighborhood is just felt right to us. And when we started building our dream of building a brewery, community impact was very high on our priority list. We wanted to make sure that we were building a business that was going to have a meaningful impact on the neighborhood. Especially in Germantown, there's a lot of talk about gentrification, revitalization, pushing people out. And we really want to make it about keeping what's great about Germantown here and then just making it better. So here's a list of just some things that we've seen from breweries and what we plan to do with our own brewery. So when we're expecting on average 1,200 customers per week, while most of those people are going to come at the beginning from the neighborhood of Germantown, craft beer tourism is extremely popular. We are steps away from the Wayne Junction train station, where people can visit Philadelphia, get on a train, and 15 minutes later be in our tap room. So we're expecting to have a lot of people coming out to the brewery, and then we want them to stay and experience the other great things in Germantown, the historical sites, other shops, other businesses. And breweries do a really great job of supporting other businesses, whether it's having food trucks and having food available, or having retails that customers can go shopping in, arts, entertainment. There's tons of small businesses that can benefit from a brewery. We're also creating good paying jobs. One of the things that we're doing a lot of research right now is to not open our brewery with tipped wages, but to pay all of our employees a living wage. There's one other brewery that we found that's able to do this right now, but there aren't a lot of businesses that do that. For us, it's important because number one, it's a living wage that people can depend on. Right now I work part-time for Dock Street Brewery, and your wage is determined by tips, so you don't know if you're going to have a good day or a bad day or the weather, and it's hard to plan out your bills. But the more important thing for us is that we want to build a team of people that can stay with our brewery. And the way they can do that is by taking on added responsibilities like helping to brew beer, working on marketing, creating graphic design. And if we pay them an hourly wage, they're able to do that. We also want to provide amenities to attract home buyers. Todd and I live in Germantown, and one of the things we hear a lot is that there's not restaurants or places to go. So if we build those things, it'll attract people to want to come here, be home buyers, stay here, and it'll help us get rid of a lot of the lighthouses and abandoned properties in the area. Again, revitalizing and abandoning buildings. You saw the condition of the building that we're moving into. It's got some really great character, right? But there's a lot of really great character in Germantown. But what we're looking for are vital businesses that are going to bring a nice revenue stream to the area. Really, it's a spot for neighbors to come together. So similar to what we're experiencing today, it's different when you meet a neighbor face to face and you get to talk with them and relax and share and see how you can cooperate and help each other out. Plus, there's so many people doing such great work in Germantown. We all just want to relax and have a beer once in a while. And so we want to build this spot. And then collaborate with community organizations. So I know my friends from Power Cycle Works are here. We've worked with over a dozen community organizations already: Germantown United CDC, Hansberry Garden, Power Cycle Works, the historic Johnson House. All of them have come to us. We've donated our beer, donated our time, and really helped bring attention to these organizations. I'd like to believe everyone showed up to their events because they wanted to drink our beer. Not yet, but we're going to get there. But yeah, it's fun for us to be able to work together and to bring attention to their organizations and help them raise money or raise awareness for the things that they are passionate about here in the area. So then we talk about why WeFunder. And Todd and I have been working on building our brewery for over 2 years. This isn't something that we jumped into very quickly. It's been a process for us. And anybody who started a business can talk about how hard it is to raise capital for your business. And for us, naturally we both studied history, so research is just the way we live. So we did a lot of research with breweries and talked about venture capitalists and accredited investors and talking to banks. And what we ended up having was this huge population of people who were like, oh, I'd love to help you, but I'm not a millionaire. And so I did a lot of research and found out that in May of 2016, it became legal for equity crowdfunding, which kind of took away this need to just use Kickstarters and donation-based, but opened it up for everyone to be a part of investing. We're so committed to helping our community that it just felt like the right piece for us. WeFunder is a public benefit corporation, so a lot of the values that we have for our company, they share. They're also the largest equity crowdfunding portal, so they had a large network of people who were already interested in investing in WeFunders throughout the country. So what this allows us, not as one small population of people who are accredited investors to decide what business is open here, this opens it up to the community to be a part, not only in deciding what business is open, but sharing in the success that we have as a brewery. So just some details. A lot of this information is on our WeFunder page, or from talking to me or Todd, you might have already heard it. But investing starts as little as $100. Everyone gets a 1.5 return on their investment. So if you invest $100, you'll get $150 back. You invest $1,000, you'll get $1,500 back. And then on top of your return, you also get the cool investor perks. So we have some of them as examples on the table, and we have them listed out. A lot of them are experience-based, because we really wanted the people who invest in our company to be able to come back and really feel like they're a part of the brewery. So it's things like private tastings. So you get to come, spend some more one-on-one time with me and Todd. Sample some beer, and feel like you have a place that they know your name and they know what you're about and you're part of it. And then how you're paid back is we distribute 10% of our revenues every quarter back to our WeFunders. And then you'll continue to get returns until everyone gets 1.5 return back. So you're 100% and then you're 50% on top. So that's that. So then everybody wants to know, right, when do you get paid, right? When do you start getting your money back? So at the end of the first quarter, we generate revenues. The payments will start. We distribute our money to WeFunder, and then they distribute it to the investors. But the repayment period depends on two things. So the amount that we raise and the amount of revenue that we generate. So if we raise $150,000 in investments, based on our current projections, it would take approximately 3.5 years for everyone to get paid back. Now, if we are super popular and really busy, that time period will shrink down. Or if we end up raising closer to 250, or by some miracle, $500,000, then it will take a little bit longer. But right now, we're looking to raise somewhere between $150,000 and $250,000. But in order to get any of the money from the WeFunder, we have to reach $100,000. That's what we said is our definite. We have to reach this in order for us to get the return. So right now we have 77 investors, and we're at $33,700. We're at 77 investors and $33,700. But we just had this really great Billy Penn article come out yesterday, so we've got some news in the room, gonna make it happen, right? But yeah, we're trying to get the word out, and really meeting with you guys is an opportunity for you to ask us questions and to spread the word. If you believe in the project and you want to be part of building something amazing in Germantown, like this is a great way for you to do it. If we brew great beer, we could open our brewery anywhere in Philadelphia and be successful. And you can see it because there's clusters of breweries that open next to each other. But for us, it was about more than that. We really wanted to do it in an area that needed it the most, and an area that we love. Like when we decided that we were staying in Philly, this is the only area that we wanted to live, and the only place we looked at to open our brewery. So, thank you for coming. Does anybody have any questions? Yes?
Is office retail considered parking?
We have a parking lot behind our building, so when you, if you were to drive down Berkeley Street right now, you saw the 3-story red brick building picture. There's a big empty lot next to it. The Wayne Junction Diner will be in front, and then behind it, there will be parking for the Deeks Barbecue, the diner, and our brewery.
Because if the area gets popular, it's going to be tight.
Yep, we definitely, thought of that when we were deciding where to put our brewery, that it's Philadelphia still. Parking is an issue everywhere. Neighbors it's their number one concern usually, but we do have a convenient parking there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2 questions. First one is the $100,000 threshold. If people invest and you don't hit 100, does that money just stay with WeFunder, or does it go back to the investors?
You get it back.
Okay, it doesn't get lost. And then the second one, you're going to pay 10% of your gross revenues, I guess.
Yeah, revenues.
Is that in your business plan? Is that sustainable for allowing your business to grow? It seems like a pretty tough commitment, particularly in the early days when you need capital. I mean, as an investor, I wouldn't expect a return as quickly as that big.
Yeah, my background is when I worked for H&M, the last 2.5 years I worked there, my primary focus was profitability and operations, and so I became very familiar with the P&L statement. And so what we've done is because we're focusing so much on selling the beer directly to customers, the profit margin is so much larger than if we had decided to package our beer, where it does allow for us to pay back the investors and still maintain profitability. Right now we're showing some lean months, especially like December, January, February, which are slow months for breweries. And it's hard for us to project how much sales we're going to do, but that being said, that's where we want to be able to do other things like host holiday parties for companies, still maintain events, or shorten our hours so that we cut down on payroll, but we're still maintaining profitability even with paying 10% down.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be paying out 10% of my revenue if I wasn't covering my rent in a slow month, and I wouldn't want what I'm investing in to be that strained with its commitment to me. So
for us, it'll be you're paid quarterly, so all of the quarters none of them, like our quarter isn't December, January, February, so we'll still have March in that quarter, and we have October, November in the last quarter of the year. When you get that check, it's probably not going to be as big as the check from the quarters, from our peak selling months. But yeah, we're still able to do it.
2 questions. One is, do you anticipate any problems with getting the licensing that you require?
We don't. We have licensing. We have a zoning attorney that we're working with for the zoning. Our building is zoned as commercial mixed use 2.5, which allows for artisanal industrial. And so we did a search of all the breweries in the city, and there's many breweries that are zoned the same way. Some of them have to get a manufacturing variance, but because they added on this artisanal industrial, breweries fall under that. And so our zoning attorney worked with Murray Hooga and help them get their zoning. And then for the licensing, we have another set team of people who, if we run into issues, we have them available to help us. The biggest issue that people run into with the licensing is when they have multiple owners. The federal government does a lot of background checks. The only owners of our company are Todd and I. So for us, it should be pretty simple for us to apply for our licensing. We just need to make sure that our equipment is lined up and that those drawings are good.
Now, you said you were going to, when you first get started, you're going to do how many barrels you're going to be able to produce in a day, or over the course of the week?
So we have a 10-barrel brew house, so we can do 10 barrels every time we brew. Our first year we'll probably brew only 1 to 2 times a year for our 700 barrels in that first year.
Okay, so will you have the capacity to increase that without putting in that much money cost to do so?
Yeah, we have more space to increase our capacity, but when we start, we're going to be a little oversized, to be honest with you. We'll have 4 10-barrel fermentation tanks and 6 10-barrel serving tanks, so we'll be a little bit oversized.
So if you need to produce, if your demand is better than what you anticipate, you'll be able to meet that demand? Because that's one of the main reasons if you have a demand and you don't meet it, it's going to curtail your business. So.
Yep. Yeah, we have our kind of buffer. Like we would love to be pouring through 10-barrel bright tanks every week. That'd be amazing. But our overflow is that we'll have a cold storage and be able to keg beers as well and serve from kegs too. Yeah.
Hi, how did you figure out the projection of 700 to 1,500 customers a week? What was that based on?
So we partnered with some other breweries, Crime and Punishment Brewery, which is in Brewery Town. They have a 1,000 square foot like brew pub space. And then Todd and I went out and we took some industry averages as well. We'd go out and be like, okay, it's Wednesday, it's 5 o'clock. How many people are in here? We did that at Chestnut Hill Brewing, Iron Hill, Earth Bread, 2SP. I work at Dock Street, so I get to see their crowd as well. So we kind of looked at what their averages are, and then we broke it down each day. So like on a slow month on a Monday, we anticipate about 10 people in there, which they're lower projections. And then we just kind of built it up for each of the days of the week and got a rough estimate of, okay, this is what we can expect in a low period, a mid period, and a high period.
What's the marketing plan to get those 750 to 1,500 people in? How are you promoting the brewery?
I guess we're going to be doing it through social media, of course. I don't know. We've been doing this kind of stuff too, just trying to get our word out, network with people, working special events throughout Germantown, and I think we're going to start branching out pretty soon to try to get even into the city a little bit to kind of get our word out. But
yeah, so we've been building our brewery. We've networked with other breweries and then bloggers and Philly Beer Scene magazine, and even through the different organizations that we partner with, everyone has their own pool of people. So I think at the beginning, our projections are, like I said, most of our business is going to come from the area around here. And then as the word catches on that our beer is so freaking amazing, everybody is going to be pouring to Germantown. But yeah, I think right now the cheapest and best way that we found is through social media. Increasing our followers through Instagram or Facebook. We send out a newsletter that's been pretty successful as well, and they all have their matrix that you can check on how many clicks you get and,
Sure.
and how many shares and things like that. Yeah.
Will you be serving any food, or how will you offer people something to eat if they're hungry?
Who's going to do it? Jump in.
So it's kind of easy for us. We're going to be right next to Deke's Barbecue, so kind of our plan is to have bring your own food to our brewery. So Deke's being right next door will be very convenient. We're hoping, the plan is to partner kind of with him so that if you want to get Deke's Barbecue next door, you can get it and then bring it over to the brewery, or if you want to get our beer, you can take it over to Deke's Barbecue. So that should work out, but we also understand that barbecue is not what everybody's going to want all the time, so we will have the option of like food trucks, and brewery will also have its own, like we'll have like snacks and things like that too for people, like this kind of easy stuff. So that's sort of the plan.
Yeah, we've talked to a couple local businesses about doing like not pre-packaged but pre-made food that we can then plate and serve, just smaller food. We're not planning on having a kitchen, just something tiny. We legally have to serve some sort of snack, but it can be something as simple as like packaged pretzels. But we want it to be a little bit more interesting than that. But collaborate with as many local businesses as we can, especially Deke's Barbecue because they're right next door.
I might have missed the reason, but what's the reason why the hours are limited?
So depending on how you're licensed in the state of Pennsylvania, that dictates your hours. So if we were a brew pub, then we could do bar hours, but because we're a brewery, we can't be open till 2 a.m.
And there's very good reasons for that.
Yeah, I mean, we're very mindful of the neighborhood, and so Germantown is not, right now is not the place that needs establishments that are, drinking till all hours, and we really want it to be like a enjoyable, like recreational thing, not like a rager. Take this one and then yours.
Two questions. First, has the conversation with Deke's already started in terms of being able to take your food and drinks between the two locations? Okay. And then for the projections, how did you come up with the percentage for your limited growth? Is that including satellite openings already? Or
It doesn't. No, we did a 15% customer increase every year. That's kind of the easiest way I found to do it. It's just continuing to not only attract more people to our brewery, but anticipating the growth in the population around Germantown. So we just did a 15% customer increase and then translated that into sales. Yeah, and back there.
Will all the investors be getting a proportional check each month, or will it be like the highest investors getting paid first, lowest investors getting paid last, or how's the repayment plan work?
It's by quarter, so everyone will get a check every quarter, and you're paid back as a percentage of your total of the WeFunder investment. So everyone will get a check every quarter. But I did do the math on that $100 investment, so you're not going to be a millionaire. You might get a $15 check, I'm not going to lie, but you will get your $150 back. As much as we can promise legally through SEC regulation. Yeah.
You have a lot of small investors that have already invested. Do you have a plan for investors that need more money than just $1,000 or $2,500 and can really get to your goal?
We're trying. I've been on the phone we've been approached, first let me be honest, we've been approached by a lot of traditional venture capitalists, angel investors looking for equity investments. And there's a couple that, were really sincere about just wanting to see us succeed. And I got on the phone with them and said, hey, how do I get somebody who's looking for an equity investment to change their mind and invest through WeFunder? And so, because this is, like we had to report to the SEC, there are certain rules, like everything has to be open to everyone has to get the same information. So it is a little bit challenging, and that's where we hope that we can connect with people who might know somebody and just spread the word that way. The highest investment that we've received so far is we had 2 people invest $2,500, which caused us to do a little bit of a dance in the kitchen. It was very exciting. But we're just continuing to just network in different ways. So, we look at different age groups, different populations. We've definitely been looking at different media outlets and, who reads those media outlets and how can we continue to get our name out there. But yeah, it's kind of proof our method. You know, some people mention different things to us, like levels at which they feel comfortable investing, or, you know, and we just take it for what it is and pass along to the same information that you guys have.
Weed Funders doesn't have a minimum maximum that you can lay, or that you can invest?
There is a maximum that you can invest. I think for any one person, it's $100,000. And at the $2,500 level, it does become based on your income. So it's like a percentage of your income. So there is some rules and regulation on that. And really, we didn't do it to look for a $100,000 investor, but because we wanted, you know, our neighborhood to really be involved in building it, and again, sharing our prosperity. For as successful as we are, they can be sharing that as well. And one thing we didn't mention was, this isn't our primary source of funding for our brewery, so just so that's clear. So the build out that you saw, for sure, that looks crazy, it looks like a lot of work. Included in our rent is a majority of our build out. And then we have been working with another source, a more traditional financing source for our brewing equipment, which is upwards of $500,000. So that's taken care of by another funding source as well. So the money that we're looking for from Weed Funder is a lot of our operating, the build out of our tap room, and then some other brewery equipment, like our walk-in, kegs, things like that. But the majority of the brewing equipment is secured by another funding source.
The numbers, I mean, I didn't think you could start this all on $33,000, so I'm happy to hear that. But if you know you're getting equipment financing and some other build-out financing and that type of thing, and then some from here, but you'll have a pretty substantial obligation on the equipment. And again, your repayment commitment is off of gross revenues, not net revenues, but you have an obligation on that. What do you need in terms of a cushion? I mean, are you going to be capitalized enough to see yourself through the startup and see yourself through any soft months and that type of thing?
Yeah, we're looking to have about $80,000 for a 6-month cushion for us. If we open sometime between January and March is the beginning of the busiest selling months for breweries. So as long as we can open before October of 2019, we're hitting at the months where we're going to make the most money. But $80,000 is a good cushion for us to have for 6 months of operating.
Well, what do you anticipate your monthly operating costs to be?
Grab my paper. Costs are about $38,000 a month. We're looking at about 30% of that going towards our payroll, which is a high estimation at the beginning, but we are anticipating having to hire people, train people. There's going to be some turnover at the beginning, of course. Our next biggest cost would be the rent and then paying back our equipment loan. And then things like raw materials, which is based on how much we're growing. But to give you another example, so when we're selling the beer, I probably shouldn't tell you this because you're going to go order a beer somewhere and then be like, wait, what? So with the 10-barrel system, it costs us about 40 cents to make a pint of beer, including the labor costs, the utilities, the raw materials, and then we sell it for $5. If we're selling it for $5, that's the, roughly 90% profit that we're making on every single beer that we sell. When you then start packaging that beer, using a distributor, selling it to a bar, your profits are dropping dramatically. So for us, again, the profitability is really high with selling beer direct to customers. Any other questions? No? So then you pull out your smartphones. It's WeFunder/addictbrewing.com. But the process for investing in WeFunder is very easy. When you go to the screen, you'll see our video. You just click on where the green thing that says invest. It has you enter in some personal information, and then either attach it to a checking account or a card, your debit card or your credit card, and you can easily invest. But for Todd and I, we really appreciate you guys coming out. Please feel free to hang around, drink some more beer, eat some food. It's easier for us to bring home empty kegs than full kegs. Yeah, please share the word with anybody who you think might be interested. If you're around, we're pouring beer at the Germantown Second Saturday Festival. It'll be this coming up Saturday. We'll be at the Cunningham Piano Showroom, and they have the Street Blocked Off. It's a big music festival in Germantown, so it's really nice. So if you know anybody who might need to sample beer to make a decision, please send them by. And Todd and I will be around, so if you have other questions or you want to talk to us, we'll be around, and then I know some of our friends are here too, so they might be able to answer your questions too. But we appreciate you guys coming by.
Thanks.